platinum giant Amplats has agreed to put on hold for 2 months its planned restructuring of 14,000 job cuts in the South African mining industry. We bring you the very latest. We also look at Nigeria's new terror threat following a guilty verdict against main leader Henry Okar in South Africa last week. But let's get straight to that big story. News just in: top global platinum miner Anglo American Platinum has put on hold restructuring plans that threaten 14,000 jobs in South Africa. This follows today's meeting facilitated by the Department of Mineral and Energy between Amplats and labour unions. This means that the Section 189 of South Africa's Labour Relations Act, which allows an employer to operationalise within 60 days retrenchment plans, will now be stayed. CNBC Africa can report that the parties have agreed to establish a task team that will interrogate, among other things, the long-term economic profitability of the shafts Amplats have earmarked for mothballing. Earlier, I spoke to one of the key players in the discussions, who is the National Union of Mine Workers General Secretary, Frans Paleni. I asked him how the agreement came about.
Well, we can confirm that the discussions has gone very well. Firstly, dealing with the non-compliance issues and the approach which was not acceptable taken by Anglo-Plats. Subsequently, we have agreed on the following: that we will establish a task team. The DMR will put together a team of experts. Each stakeholder will have representative, and we have set up different work streams. In other words, looking at the economic viability of a shaft, looking at the social issues, looking at industrial relations issues, and those task teams would then be allowed to work and come up with some proposals. One of the interesting agreement is that the task team will probe the findings, basically, of Anglo Platinum. It might come up with a different finding that you said this shaft is not profitable for now, but if you do A, B, C, D, you can make it profitable. For that, Anglo-Plats has agreed to suspend Section 189, the 60 days notice, for a period of 60 days to allow the task team and the principal to probe this challenge confronting us.
Now, if the task team comes up with a finding that comes to a different conclusion around profitability of the shafts that Amplats have identified to mothball, does that mean then that Amplats is prepared, from where you're sitting, to revisit the proposals, and would that then avert the 14,000 job losses we're talking about?
Amplats indicated that these are mere proposals. So if they stick to their words that these are mere proposals, and then a different finding comes out of that working party, they must embrace those alternatives, because they said they are also not happy about destroying 14,000 jobs.
Now, are you saying, am I correct in concluding, Mr. Paleni, that you will in fact hold Amplats to their commitment to not fire people if those experts come up and have a different outlook for the profitability of those shafts?
We will keep on reminding them what they have said, that they have no intention of doing this. They are doing it because of the loss-making experience in this shaft. But if we can turn them around, they have to be join the party.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, we know that the discussions between yourselves and Amplats, the temperatures were raised. People were, talking tough. There was a point where the African National Congress and yourselves called on Minister Susan Shabangu to rescind the licenses of Anglo-Plats, to put on auction these shafts that have been identified to be mothballed, to bring in other players. Is that still your view, or is that now off the table, Mr. Paleni, given the fact that Amplats has now come to the party on postponing this process subject to the findings of these task teams?
Well, look, the challenge is still there. The issue which we were all critical about, it is the manner which Amplats has handled the matter, and also there were lack of being sensitive to destroying 14,000. We have told them that they will be on their own. It's the political parties which are not happy. I've not heard any single political party which said we're happy that 14,000 jobs must go. It's the churches, it's the NGOs, it's ourselves. So they've got to join us and find solutions and prevent these 1,000 jobs to be lost.
Now, of course, market analysts have suggested that threatening mining companies with security of tenure around mining licenses is the worst possible way to go about creating stability in an industry that's already been plagued by a series of problems. Are you not concerned, Mr. Baleni, that the threats that you have made is going to make other investors skittish for coming to South Africa as a destination investment, or rather as an investment destination?
We must never change the rules of the house. In most instances, when there are issues being raised, people are saying that our constitution is threatened. We must do in compliance with the constitution, otherwise they'll go to the Constitutional Court. Here, business obtain a license in terms of mining, and there are rules of the game how they must operate. Now, if they get out of line in non-compliance with their license, shouldn't they be remanded? Why would that be regarded as a threat? They are reminded that you are not in compliant, even if they are told in writing that Section 47 can be issued to say, by the way, we are not following your license. We don't think that is a threat. You can go anywhere in the world. There are rules of the game when it comes in terms of trading and so on. So we cannot allow a free-for-all.
Mm-hmm. Now, this Section 47, just take us through what the regulation says. I know that it is a mechanism that the Minister does have at her disposal to ensure that companies actually comply. Take us through a scenario where the Minister does issue a Section 47 notice. What does that mean for the company involved?
Look, let's just give examples. A company obtain a license to produce 1 million tons of coal, right? That's the license. And all of a sudden, the company produce 3 million tons of coal without an amended license. That company can be issued for Section 47, and the license can be withdrawn, by the way. You can also look at the environmental issues and so on. So even in this instance, if they are found to have flouted the laws, their license can be withdrawn. But what normally happens is that if the company is issued with Section 47, if it's a listed company, they have to share that with the shareholders, and that can have a serious consequence in terms of the market. So I don't think that government will just rush an issue. It's an issue which is sensitive, which must be managed and engaged, and make sure before that action is taken, it does deserve that such measures must be taken.
Just a final question, Mr. Baleni. Give us time frames. When are these task teams that are set up by the DMR meant to report back? When are we likely to get an indication of whether the findings of these task teams are in fact, vastly different from what Anglo put on the table?
We're likely to see the task team meeting almost weekly. We'll be guided by the experts which have been drawn in to ensure that they engage and set up timelines. We have agreed on clear timelines. Remember, we would have agreed, we've agreed in terms of 60 days to knock some of these issues, but we will be meeting periodically, the task team, reporting in terms of each milestone to the principals, and also deciding what is next. If we are able to come up with some ideas before the 60 days, so be it. There might be a need, if we think that we need more time, we'll engage parties.